나는 헌법을 준수하고 대통령으로서의 직책을 성실히 수행할 것을 국민 앞에 엄숙히 선서합니다.
예, 매우 감격스럽고.
Inauguration Day was quite an emotional day for the entire campaign. The Moon Jae-in camp had worked so hard throughout the campaign. We were both moved and relieved that he became the president.
국민들과 가까운 곳에 있겠습니다. 따뜻한 대통령, 친구 같은 대통령으로 남겠습니다.
He was ushered into office with incredible pressure to unite a nation torn by corruption, people scarred by betrayal, and backed by millions of South Koreans who spent last winter out in the streets here in downtown Seoul with candlelights in their hands, crying for change. 100 days ago, Mr. Moon Jae-in made his grand entrance into the presidential Blue House with one promise: to be a people's president.
His presidency began right away. The president did not have the luxury of a transition team. He was sworn in just hours after the election results were announced, so the team, including the president himself, couldn't afford any break time after the hectic presidential race.
President Moon became president without a presidential transition team, so he got to enjoy the position of a president-elect as well as the president. That means he got both sides of the coin, extra high approval rating, and an extremely busy schedule.
인생을 살리기 위해 노력했습니다.
준비 많이 했죠.
President Moon and his team did have a lot prepared in terms of quantity, but as for the quality of those policy plans, that's a bit questionable. We've seen a number of premature policies. His policies on nuclear power plant, more welfare, the so-called Moon Jae-in care, they are all quite incomplete and premature in terms of contents.
So they did bring out the tax hike card. The Moon administration's new tax code raises tax on the super rich, multinational corporations and large conglomerates. Their argument is that the extra tax revenue collected from these economic brackets is enough to cover the cost of its welfare policies. We'll have to wait and see whether the tax hike will end up affecting the average Koreans.
Now in the breaking news, we now know what type of missile North Korea launched.
North Korea facing tough new sanctions designed to send a message.
This administration faces challenges like no other previous ones, because as soon as it took off, it found itself swirled in a security crisis.
Moon Jae-in came in with different ideas about how to approach foreign affairs from South Korean perspective, and especially how to approach inter-Korean relations. But he's had almost no room to implement anything. This Kim Jong-un, Donald Trump battle has kind of sucked all the oxygen out, and so it's been very difficult for President Moon to take any of the steps that he wants to take. THAAD has always been, this predates Moon is the point. THAAD was a problem, and the certain American perception of mixed messaging from South Korea on THAAD goes back to the Park Geun-hye administration. That's not something, Moon kind of inherited that problem. So it is another dilemma.
100 days ago, Mr. Moon Jae-in came into office with a landslide victory. And now, 100 days into his presidency, President Moon already has a plethora of pending issues piled before him. But most of all, one of the president's key focus so far has been on how to better communicate with the people. And among the first on his agenda as president was to stand right here before the Blue House press corps to reaffirm that he will create a society that offers equal opportunity, fair process, and just outcome.
되었습니다. 혹시 질문 있으십니까?
대통령이 직접 질문을 받아주실 건지요?
예.
저희도 당황스럽죠.
It throws us off guard too. When he makes an unplanned stop to speak to the reporters, even in a shaking airplane, or reaches out to the people on the road, it leaves us, his aides, baffled as well.
일단 문재인
What differentiates the Moon Jae-in administration is that it's quite media-friendly. His chief aides and communications team have been pretty good so far in keeping the channel open with the media.
비권위적이고
His down-to-earth, humble demeanor really resonated with the Korean public. I really liked his style too. But reflecting on his first 100 days, I would say he's kept his ratings up but has multiple factors for uncertainty and instability. Security concerns the biggest of them all.
문재인 대통령이 사람의 성격
I think we're pretty sure at this point that Moon Jae-in is reliable and faithful in character. Nonetheless, we shouldn't overlook the nature of power in politics. Power tends to corrupt. It's something this administration, more than any other, needs to look out for because it launched with strong emphasis on ethical integrity.